right, we'll call the meeting to order. And at this time, we do have a quorum. All three commissioners are present. Colonel Averill, would you like to lead us in the flag salute on this last meeting of the year?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, public comment. Colonel Averill.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Colonel Averill, and I'm this morning representing Lewis County seniors. Number one, we want to thank you for a couple of things. The first, on your docket this morning is a resolution declaring surplus the printers and computers and a van that we need for our operation. We're very happy to have that, and it really helps us, and we thank you for that. The second thing on the docket is the resolution providing the first installment, and hopefully the only installment, in support of the senior centers, the $100,000 that we need. And I need to tell you that that I have been going around with the facilities, Doug Carey and Glenda Forga from our organization, starting the turnover process of all of the utilities. And one of the first things that we ran into, we knew we were going to have to put deposits down on the electricity. We didn't know how much. It was $3,500 for the 5 centers. It's things like that, sitting with a rather meager fund sitting in our account, and knowing that we're going to have to pay up front insurance costs, we're going to have to pay for permits for cooking and and a whole bunch of things like that. We needed the money. I will tell you that you're dealing with a board of predominantly community members on a voluntary basis who have not gone through the contracting process in the past. And as a result, when they get certain documents, that unfortunately in the legal world have a tenor of saying, we think you're going to try to defraud us, and therefore you're going to have to do the A, B, C, and D to make sure that you don't do that. It appears to a lot of the members of the board that you don't trust us when we step forward to help in the transition, totally volunteers, totally non-paid, and we have these types of things that are thrust before us. And I will tell you, it did not help that the contract was given to us last Tuesday. And we had a meeting on Thursday, and our pro bono attorney didn't have the time to look at it. And so I will tell you that the meeting that we had last Thursday was very contentious. And walking out of there, most of the members felt that they should just reject the contract rather than sign it. I sat down with Allison and John, our 2 attorneys, John doing it just on a share, and they explained to me and to other members of the board that the contract was standard, that these are requirements that generally are required of all. And I did some talking around here, and I understand that on the LTAC that there are similar contracts for the expenditures of those funds, and on the 0.1% that there are similar contracts for those. Unfortunately, we had to do an electronic vote, and we just got the number necessary to approve signing the contract, 10 of the 9. But unhappy. And I think, one of the things is that I know that there's a concern on the part of the board about nutrition and spending the money only on nutrition as if that's the only indigents and folks that get services out of it. I will tell you that the enrichment program serves similar communities. And as a result, the board has trouble making the same distinctions that you do, and we understand that, and we've built our budget so that we can live with it, but it is something that's hard for the board to accept. As a result, the vote was close. We'll sign. We are working toward the transition. I've already arranged for the electricity, and Doug and I are closing up other things as we go along so that we will have the services necessary to keep the doors open and walk forward on the 1st of January. So we thank you for your support in this area, but as I say, if we would have liked to have talked about the contract with both you and the staff before we signed it, because we think that there are things that are in the contract that are unnecessary and interfering in the areas that belong to the new organization, Lewis County Seniors. We are not a government agency. We're a nonprofit. We aren't subject to the Public Meeting Act. We are not subject to the Public Records Act. And so having those types of things in this contract, when we've got, we made contracts with AAA and we made contracts with others that have these, and was it necessary to do this? That's the concern that we had among the members of the board. But we are accepting it, we will sign it, and we thank you for moving forward. Thank you much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mona?
Mona Rayfish. I have served on the transition team. I have served on the senior board, and I will continue to serve on the senior board. I also serve as secretary to the Toledo Mighty Fine Seniors, even though I live in Centralia. Seems strange, but I, for 32 years, have used the senior centers for the enrichment programs, not for the nutrition programs. Or if lunch is being served and we have something going on like a paint class and that, sure, I'll go and take it, but I'm not there strictly for the nutrition programs. It has been a long year, believe me, and I'm finally glad that something is going to be put down in stone so that we can have some support still from the county for this next year. Because trying to run this big business on $45,000, and that is what our senior board had in the bank, you can't do it. As Mr. Averill, our colonel, said, what did it run just to hook up the utilities? So thank you. We're not really happy. We don't understand all the legal mumble jumble, but our attorneys are saying, yes, it's a good one. Go ahead with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mona.
Thank you, Mona Ray.
Okay.
I'd like to say just a few words. It's been quite the year, as Mona Ray said, and it's been quite the time to have that communication going back and forth. When we talked about this over a year ago, I guess it's been 2 years in the making, we never said close. We never said close. Other folks said close. We never said close. We said transition. When you talk about transition, there were some bumps in the road, as people get to learn how government operates. And as Colonel Averill was talking about, there's language that needs to be in contracts. And when you have your attorney saying, this cannot be for people that are not old, or I'm not, I say, infirm, what's the term?
Poor and infirm.
Poor and infirm. And that is quite this is only what we can pay for, and we can't be giving a gift of funds. So trying to work around that. So I have to say, a lot of work being done. I'm glad this day has happened. And I like to remind people, if you want to donate to the senior citizens, the Lewis County seniors. You can do it directly to the Lewis County seniors, or you could send it through United Way. There's a United Way movement right now to donate to agencies, and you can designate the Lewis County seniors as one of them. So we need to be supportive of that effort. We enjoy the senior centers. We were there on Saturday night enjoying a wonderful Christmas dinner that a lot of volunteers, nobody there, I think, got paid to do anything. And there was free gifts, a raffle, wonderful food, great music. It is a good place of enrichment. And it is a good place for seniors to go. And once again, you know, when we looked at the statistics, countywide, I'm not just talking Toledo or Centralia, I'm talking countywide, when we looked at the percentage of seniors that are using senior centers from Packwood to PL, that data said only 6% of that age group. So if we're missing that, if that's 100% wrong, if it's only 12%, there's 88% people out there that need to know more about what happens at senior centers and contribute and participate. So I think there's an opportunity there too. Once again, I'm glad we've reached this day. I'm glad we can move on. We appreciate everybody that served on those committees, because I think a lot of questions were asked, a lot of things like, why would you put that in there and why that dollar amount? But I think at the end, as we are coming close, this is our last business meeting, that it's done. And thank you for everyone who participated. And thank you for those Toledo seniors that come in here in your nice shirts and show that you're supportive of your community. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Fund. Okay, with that,
I move to approve the notice items, Resolution 17-366 through 17-371.
Second.
okay,
Morning, Commissioners. Eric Martin, Director of Public Works. Speaking to notice items 17-366 through 17-370. The first three are call for bids for vehicles. The first one, 366, is 7 pickup trucks. The second, 367, is 3 SUVs. And the third, 17368, is a call for bids for 6 patrol vehicles for the Sheriff's Department. So I'm talking to them all sort of in the same frame of work, because they're the same, that they accomplish the same thing, and that is to put out call for bids to hopefully give the local dealerships here in Lewis County an opportunity to compete for these for selling us these vehicles. So last year, if you remember, we had some folks come from the local dealerships, and they were interested in participating in this. Typically before that, we'd been buying off of the state contract for many, many years. And so we made a commitment to them to do this, and so that's what we're doing here. So we have these call for bids for these various vehicles out, and they'll be due back by January 4th of next year, 2018. Any questions about the vehicles or about the call for bids? Okay.
thank you.
Resolution 17-369 is a notice of intent to lease the Central Transfer Station in Centralia to the Lewis County Solid Waste Disposal District. Resolution 17-370 is notice of intent to lease the East County Transfer Station, that's the one in Morton, to the Lewis County Solid Waste Disposal District. So those are just another renewal of leases from the district from the county to the district for those 2 sites. And it is just a notice. We will have a hearing for that lease on January 22nd of 2018 for both those sites. Any questions about those?
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Amanda Migliaccio, Financial Analyst Senior in the Auditor's Office. Speaking on Resolution 17-371, which is the notice for the vendor list. This resolution is to give notice of the county's vendor list, and to solicit names of vendors for addition to that list in accordance with RCW 39.04.190. As part of the procedures established by Resolution 12-196, the notice and solicitation is to occur twice a year in order for the county to use telephonic or written quotes in lieu of advertisement and formal sealed bidding for purchases between $5,000 and $25,000. The vendor applications are either available in the auditor's office or it's also on the website of the auditor's office page. Any questions?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, a motion is made and second to approve, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 notice items, resolutions 17-366 through 17-371. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Thank you.
I move that we approve consent items, approval of minutes, as well as Resolution 17-372.
Second.
Amanda.
Amanda, you're up again.
And I'm back. Resolution 17-372 is the weekly approval of warrants. For the week of December 8th through 14th, we had 150 regular warrants, which were numbered 733-781882 in the amount of $732,067.30. In addition, just a note, we had warrants issued with numbers 781-883 through 781-916, which were issued on behalf of the special purpose districts. So we're just noting them as a skip in sequence. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion is made and second to approve 2 consent items. That is December 11th, 2017 minutes, along with Resolution 17-372, approval of warrants. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passed. Thank you.
I move to approve deliberation items beginning with resolutions 17-373 to 17-382. There will be a skip in sequence. And then to approve resolution 17-384 as we are removing 17383 from today's agenda.
Second.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Dusty Breen. I'm the Special Services Chief with the Lewis County Sheriff's Office. Here today to speak to you about Resolution 17-373 in reference to the updating of the Sheriff's Office fee schedule. Our Sheriff's Office fees were last updated in 2013. Some of the fees that we are asking for an update on have to do with our records division, and others have to do, a large majority has to do with our civil division, which is responsible through RCW for carrying out various writs and other activities. In preparing for this, we reviewed other counties and what their current structure is, and as a result have made the suggested updates to the fee schedule. There are some fees that were added, and a lot of that has to do with this last year. We had a very large writ of execution on personal property, and we realized there are some areas that we were currently did not have fees that covered, and other areas that counties were charging for. So some of the fees that are on there are new additions that we previously didn't charge for, but work being done by our office, and other items are fee updates due to, over the last 5 years, the cost of inflation, supplies, and our employees' times over those times. Are there any questions?
So it's been 5 years since most of these have been updated.
Approximately 5 years. I believe it was May of 2013, so we're a few months shy of 5 years, yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Good morning, Director Danette York, Lewis County Public Health and Social Services, and I'm speaking to resolution number 17-374. This says that it is a resolution approving awarding document recording fee funds to local agencies. What this actually does is give my department the authority to negotiate contracts with those partners in the county that will be receiving those funds. And then you will get another contract in front of you for each agency to approve the contract.
So it's to approve, you're negotiating with the contractors.
Correct. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioner. Steve Walton, Central Services Director. Speaking to resolution number 17-375 and also 17-376. 375 is a quarterly declaration of surplus personal property. As required by the Lewis County Code, Chapter 3.30, Article 3, the facilities manager, upon finding that personal property with an estimated value of less than $2,500 is surplus to the needs of the county, shall forward such a list of property to the Board of County Commissioners for review and approval. This is the quarterly list for the fourth quarter, and this listing is comprised predominantly of information technology, IT-related equipment, some of which will be donated to the Lewis County seniors, as was referred to previously by Colonel Averill. They are a nonprofit, qualifying nonprofit 501c3 organization. Also, there is a 1997 Chevy Astro van that they have been using in the past. That is going to be
What year again?
1997. And it will also likely wind up in the possession of the seniors, and that's what this list covers. Are there any questions? Okay.
Thank you.
The next one is resolution number 17-376, approving a financial contribution agreement between Lewis County and Lewis County Seniors Organization for senior program support during calendar year 2018. Lewis County currently funds, manages, and supports senior services in the county to include the senior nutrition and senior enrichment programs. The county will cease to manage senior services programs on December 31st, 2017, whereupon Lewis County Seniors, a nonprofit 501c3 organization, will assume responsibility and control of the financial and operational management of senior services in Lewis County. The Board of County Commissioners has agreed to provide financial support during 2018 to help with the transition. The county will contribute a $100,000 cash grant to Lewis County seniors on or about January 15th, 2018, to support the senior nutrition program for 2018. The county will contribute up to an additional $135,000 on an as-needed basis to further support the nutrition program during 2018. Contributions are for the year 2018 only. The agreement maps out the terms and requirements of the grant that was discussed previously this morning. Are there any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you
all your
for
work,
all your hard
everybody
work.
on the team.
Everyone,
Thank you.
both sides.
Good morning, Commissioners. Eric Martin, Director of Public Works. Speaking to resolutions 17-377 through 17-380. The first is a resolution to approve a Washington State Transportation Improvement Board fuel tax grant agreement between Lewis County and the Transportation Improvement Board for the Borst Avenue project. So this is accepting the funds for the grant that we found out we were awarded a month or so ago for the Borst Avenue project. And those funds are in the amount of $3,787,140, which is about 75% of that project. So in the application, we agreed to a 25% match, which will be split proportionally depending on how much work is done and where between the city of Centralia and Lewis County. Any questions about that?
Not a question, but again, another step to solve the issues
Yes.
on Borst Avenue with the city and the county together. So.
It's going to be a great project.
Yes.
17-378 is a resolution to approve the purchase of one paint striper for the Public Works Department. So this is approval of the purchase of a paint striper for $522,571.78. It's through the MB Companies, which offers the paint striper in the current National Joint Partners Association co-op, NJPA, contract number 113012-MBC. So this is a 2018 purchase, and we wouldn't be paying out any, this is budgeted for 2018, and we wouldn't be paying out any funds until we actually receive the striper, which probably will be several months from now. So this approval doesn't cause us to pay anything in 2017. It'll all be paid in 2018. Any questions about that? Okay.
Yes, Eric,
Yeah.
you had indicated earlier that there's, when you put the bid out, there's not a lot of competition as far as when I say, not a lot of companies that build these or that make these.
Yeah, the paint striper is very, very specialized. The last paint striper we bought in 1999 was also made by the MB company. Most of the paint stripers for local jurisdictions here that have them were made by MB. It's a very, very specialized type of piece of equipment. It actually, we actually purchase a chassis of a truck with a bed on it, and then they build the components for the paint striping machine on the back of that truck. So, very, very specialized piece of equipment. It's also one of the most expensive, in fact, I think it's the most expensive piece of equipment that we own in the county. So,
Okay. Thank you.
Resolution 17-379 is a resolution to approve the extension of a lease with the Centralia School District for use of the radio communications site at Crego Hill and authorizing signatures thereon. So this is a renewal of a lease that expired October 31st, 2017. It'll be for 5 years from that date, so until October 31st, 2022, I believe. And the negotiated amount has increased by $312 for a total annual amount of $3,741. Any questions about that lease? Resolution 17-380 is a resolution to approve a cash flow loan from current expense fund number 001 to roads fund number 117. And basically this has to do with the fact that when we do projects, whether it's FEMA or whether it's grant funded projects through money we get from the state and CRAB, we have to front that money and then we have to wait for reimbursement, and sometimes they're not very quick at getting us our money back, especially FEMA. So we're waiting on some funds right now. We're hoping to get from WashDOT probably close to $4 million, possibly, but before the end of the year. That's not guaranteed, but it's likely. We also have close to $3 million in FEMA funds that date back for several events all the way back to 2006. We're waiting on bits and pieces of those along the way. So just because of that, and we want to make sure we stay solvent, we'd like to set up this cash flow loan in the event, it's not the case yet, but in the event that it's needed.
Eric, can you tell us what someone had said in order to get a FEMA grant or reimbursement about how their process is? And
Yeah. So we work very closely with the state EMD, who's our liaison to FEMA.
And EMD is?
Emergency Management Department. So it's the state emergency management. And we have a contact there. His name is Gary Urbis. He's a great guy, and he's a lot of help. But that department has a ton of work, and FEMA itself has a ton of work. And so what happens is they set aside some amount of money for each project for retainage. They hold that back, and that has to be audited by the federal government. And so up at the state EMD office, members of our staff have been up there, and there's just stack after stack after stack all the way down the hall and all the way down the next hall and everybody's desks of these projects that need to be audited by FEMA. Well, as you know, in 2017, FEMA's been a little busy down in Texas and Florida and other areas. So that has definitely put some of our smaller projects, relatively speaking, smaller projects, on hold. So that's what we're being told anyway, is kind of the holdup on some of these.
Like the Chandler Bridge has been finished for a number of years, and the Mays Bridge last year. So
yeah, both of those have significant payments that we still are yet to receive.
So government red tape for us.
Any other questions? Thanks.
Thank you.
Just leave it there. Merry Christmas to the seniors who are leaving.
Yes. Thank you, ladies.
Happy New Year.
Thank you, ladies. This one, the next one is the Resolution 17-381, is the election for the chair of 2018, and what Past practices has been, since I've been here for 3 years, is we rotate. Next year, I will be in Commissioner Jackson's seat, and the Commissioner Fund will be the chair for the 2018 year, and then Commissioner Jackson will serve as vice chair. So this is just a procedural thing that we've done every year that I've been here, and I'm sure that Commissioner Fund, and I'm not sure about Commissioner Averill. This is the way it, there you go. So anyway, so this is Resolution 17-383.
381.
It's 381.
381, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Good morning,
You're up
Commissioners. Archie Smith with Lewis County Human Resources. I am here to present Resolution 17-382, and that's a resolution to approve medical rates to be paid by Lewis County for non-union employees and elected officials covered by the Teamsters Welfare Trust Fund, excluding the Sheriff's Office beginning January 1st, 2018. What this is doing is basically just moving their employer contribution rate up to the standard contribution rate for 2018. We have to do a separate resolution since they're covered under the Welfare Trust, because they're covered under their collective bargaining agreements. Even though they're not in the CBA, they're under the insurance of the CBA that's in their office. So any questions on this?
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Good morning, Larry Grove, Lewis County Auditor, speaking to Resolution 17384, approving purchase of election system from Clear Ballot Group. First, I'd like to talk about what it's replacing. So it's a HVS system from Hart InterCivic. It was purchased in 2005 for $196,000. And if you'll remember, that was after the punch card challenge in the
Yes.
presidential race.
The hanging chads or whatever
Hanging
they
chads.
Correct.
Yeah.
The current system uses Windows 7 as an operating system, which will no longer be supported by Microsoft after 2020. So our office is being proactive, given 2020 as a presidential election. We would like to have the system in place prior to that. What we're purchasing is Clear Ballot election system from Clear Ballot Group. The purchase price is $135,000 compared to $196 12 years ago.
Amazing.
The procurement is off a cooperative purchasing agreement from King County. It's a modern system that represents the next generation of election software. There are many vendors. Clear Ballot is one of the leaders. We've watched as other counties are moving forward. King and Pierce have already purchased it and have deployed it. Several other counties are right behind us. We're the first medium to small county to step forward, which is going to put us in a favorable position for resources available to implement it. Are there any questions?
Thank you for being proactive.
Yes.
Absolutely.
This is very, very
and
important.
collaborative.
Thank you for your support.
Okay, a motion is made and second to approve 11 deliberation items. That's resolutions 17-373 through, I got to turn the page here, through resolution 17-382, and of course we've removed 17-383, and this is through 17-384. So 11 items. Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passed. There you go. Thank you. Now we will go to the hearing, the resolution 17-385. And with that, at this time, we will first have a staff report, followed by a question and answer period. We'll then close the question and answer period and open the hearing for public testimony. Anyone wishing to for public testimony will have 3 minutes. And those, we do have a sign-up sheet over on the podium, so feel free. And at this time, we'll go ahead and ask for the staff report.
Good morning again, Commissioner. Steve Walton, Central Services Director, and Becky Butler, the Budget Manager. We do have copies for the budget amendment on the table to our left. This hearing pertains to the recommendation to amend the 2017 budget as indicated in Resolution Number 17-385. Notice of this public hearing was published in the Chronicle on December the 5th and December the 12th, 2017. The notice, as published, reflected an increase in expenditures in the amount of $3,055,651 and an increase in revenue of $2,567,524, resulting in a decrease in overall fund balance in the amount of $488,127. Subsequent to the notice being published in the paper, the need to amend other areas became necessary, resulting in changes in expenditures in the amount of $44,946 and an increase in revenue in the amount of $637,329. With the new changes incorporated, this budget amendment reflects an increase in expenditures of $3,010,705, an increase in revenue in the amount of $3,204,853, resulting in an increase in estimated ending fund balance in the amount of $194,148. The general fund portion of this amendment is an expenditure increase of $808,784, an increase in revenue of $630,886, and a decrease in fund balance in the amount of $177,898. Becky will now provide some of the amendment details.
Good morning. For the general fund, these are rolled up into categories. So there's $338,615 in transfers. That includes $100,000 for E911 communications, $53,000 for senior services, $50,000 for facilities maintenance fund, and that's on an as-needed basis for year-end utilities, $135,615 for costs related to the fair operations. $289,292 is the increase in expenditures for the COLA and medical, employee medical costs and overtime for the jail. $34,000 for interpreter costs and defense attorney services in Superior Court. $133,900 for increased indigent defense cost. $12,977 for other operating costs, including training, indigent burials, and civil service testing, expenditures, and office supplies. For other funds, we have an increase of $135,615 for the Southwest Washington Fair for salaries, supplies, and professional services related to the annual fair and interim events. Communications has an increase of $100,000 for costs related to increased overtime, casual help, and Spillman and Everbridge system software costs. Increase of $5,645 in the mental health tax fund for the COLA and employee medical increases. Increase of revenue and expenditures in the roads fund of $1,309,854 for the traffic diversion funds. This is just a change in accounting, so there's no bottom line increase. Increased expenditures for Fund 125 of $650. This is for costs related to river gauge maintenance. Public Health has an increase in expenditures in the amount of $5,654 for training and travel. Funding is provided through the consolidated contract. Increased revenues and expenditures for senior services in the amount of $63,000 for annual leave payouts and nutrition program costs. An increase of $50,000 for capital projects at the health building and juvenile medical area. Solid Waste Disposal District Number 1 has an increase in expenditures in the amount of $455,003 for operating rentals, taxes, and professional services. These costs are offset by an increase in garbage fee revenue. Increased expenditures for ER&R fund in the amount of $26,500 for the purchase of wetland credits and the Cowweeman River Mitigation Bank. And then finally, an increase in the facilities maintenance fund, $50,000 for the COLA, employee medical increases, annual leave payouts, and year-end utilities. Is there any questions?
Just for the public, annual leave, when we pay that out, they're usually leaving the county.
Terminated employees, yeah.
They're leaving the county and we pay them out whatever money they'd earned in their.
Right, per their CBA contract or in the employee manual, they can take half of their sick leave up to, I believe it's 720 hours, and then their vacation hours up to 240, depending on the contract again. So we hope this is the last amendment for 2017, but it's possible after year-end closes there could be an additional amendment in January to clean up anything that we were unaware of.
Any last-minute SRS payments or whatever.
Yeah,
Yes.
great. Have some more revenue.
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Jackson? Okay. With that, we're going to ask the board if they would, if there are any questions, but for public comment. Public questions? Questions? No questions? Excuse me. We'll go ahead and close the question and answer period. Would you like to have your comments be incorporated into the hearing?
Yes, please.
Okay. And at this time, we're going to open up the hearing for public testimony. And do we have any names? We have no names on that. Last chance for 2018. 17, sorry. 17. Well, we always project ahead, right? So we'll go ahead and close the hearing for public testimony.
I move that we approve the fourth 2017 budget amendment for current expense and other funds.
Second.
Okay, a motion is made and second for the hearing for the fourth 2017 budget amendment for current expense and other funds. Any more questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm leaving for the
Now
Long
for
year.
the
It has been.
good of the order. I've got a couple things, or one thing in particular. First, we had a meeting this past weekend up at Timberline on Saturday, and I would like to thank, first I'd like to obviously thank there were a number of citizens, I believe there were 53, I think there that testified because of flooding issues up there along the Cowlitz River, and they're very concerned. There's a number of homes that are ready to go. When I say a number, I know that probably looking at it just from the eyeball test, it looks like 3. So they're very, very concerned about their development. And again, I appreciate it because our staff was there. We have Public Works. We had, obviously, Community Development was there. We had Eric and his staff. So it's very much appreciated. And I think Glenn was there too, yes. Thank Glenn. Thank you, Jonathan. Jonathan's well on to recovery too back there. One of the things...
And the sheriff was there?
Yes. We had, the county was well represented, and I think that kind of really exemplifies what our county is about, regardless of where it is. And I know that sometimes people up in the east end of the world, and maybe even in the west end, feel like they're disconnected a little bit, but I can assure them, and that was a show of support for them so we can help resolve some of their issues. And I appreciate Eric. We also had Gary Urbis from FEMA was there also, explaining the processes, how complicated it is to fix anything on a river. You just can't go in and fix it. As a property owner, they have some abilities to gather permitting, but through the county, it's a much more complicated process because we have to follow all the rules. And I know that Eric did a phenomenal job. Ann was there too. Lee Napier was there explaining all the processes, what we have to go through, because we have to also we have to answer to the federal government. So we just can't go because we see a piece of property and we can want to fix things. We do want to fix things, but there's a process. So I'd like to thank Eric and his staff and Community Development, Sheriff's Department, Prosecutor's Office, and the whole county really basically was well represented there.
On a Saturday morning.
Saturday morning at 10:30. So anyway.
And I found it interesting having served on the Chehalis River Basin Flood Authority and where that group is and where this group is and what we can learn from one another, and we need to have a unified front. I mentioned, and Colonel Abel remembers this time when we had quite the intense meetings in the Chehalis Basin Flood Authority. We all had to be on the same page in order to make some progress, and that happened. So that needs to happen up there in Cowlitz River too.
And I do know that Justina was there, the Chronicle was there, and the Journal would have been there, but apparently we had a late cancellation there, and Susan's here, and so we'll get the information there, but well represented. And again, most of the folks, and I think Commissioner Fund had talked about it at our update, there were a lot of people, a lot of those people that are, they're from Puyallup, Tacoma, Seattle, different places, so they are vacation homes, most of them, but they still are homes, and they're assessed property values and all the other things that go along with it that contribute to our county. So,
and wasn't there one home? Then they had like 26 feet from their deck was the water, and now when you looked at the pilings, it's like 6 inches away. So
it's just about there.
It's
Eric, would you like to comment on this too? You were the major player here, so.
Yeah, I think you covered a lot of what we talked about. I just wanted to give a compliment to the folks in Packwood because they really did come out. I bet we had 40, 50 maybe people there at one time. I think somebody counted 52.
53,
53 that came to that meeting at the Timberline Community Center there. And those people really care about each other, and they care a lot about what goes on in their community. And that show of support for, right now it's only 2 property owners on that side of the river that are being threatened is amazing. So, yeah, there was, as we told the folks up there, there's not a magic bullet that we can use to fix this problem. And it's certainly nothing new. It's happened before. But the fact that they're, rallying together and they're, getting us thinking about what we can do and they're thinking about what they can do is a good sign. So we're hopeful that they can sustain through the winter, and we can see what we can help them do going forward. But it's a little bit of a dire situation up there.
Yeah. Thank you.
I just wanted to mention I was at the Borst Lights last night and for our George Washington group, and I think we had over 200 cars go through, and I know Prosecutor Meyer and his wife were there too. It was pretty amazing when you asked people where they were coming from, and folks were traveling from Seattle to Portland and they saw it on the side of the road. People were stopping to get gas and they saw the lights, so they went over there. And we had vans full of like 2 adults and 7 kids going through those lights. So if anybody wants to do that, it's from 5 to 9 every night, even Christmas night. So I would suggest if you want some local entertainment, and Santa Claus is at the very end of that. So bring out your kids and enjoy.
Thank you. Anything else? Okay. Anything from the press? Colonel, you have a comment?
I did have a comment. It is based not on the senior centers at this point, but rather on your discussions that you had with the Chehalis, the Cowlitz River flood zone district. When in the process of looking at where we were going on the Chehalis River, we did, as commissioners, look back on what we had, and there was actually a flood control group that was formed in 1990 that was on the books. It unfortunately was never funded, and as a result, it virtually didn't accomplish anything, and it disappeared. And so when after the 2007 floods, we were looking at where we would have to go. We reconstituted the Chehalis Flood Control Zone District, and at the same time, recognizing that we had just as many problems on the upper basin of the Cowlitz, we formed that group. We too had relatively little funding that went to those groups to accomplish theirs, and there's a little bit of a difference between the flood group itself and the advisory groups that you have in both of those organizations that are giving you the local picture of what is going on. And so as the superintendents of the two districts, the commissioners are the superintendents, so obviously that's going to be taken care of in the normal business. But the support of the advisory groups are really, really important to the success of those operations. The funding of them becomes an important aspect. And after I got out of office, because of what we were doing on the Flood Authority and the work group, we sort of didn't pay attention to the existence of either the Cowlitz group or the Chehalis group. The Chehalis group, I think, stayed a little bit more viable just because of the operations around the Chehalis. We don't have much trouble on the Cowlitz below the dams, which is kind of one of the points that we're trying to make on the Chehalis, that the dam can actually help us. The only time we've ever had trouble on the Cowlitz below the dams was back in '95 when there wasn't enough attention being paid to the height of the water in the dam, and then we started to get some real flooding, and Tacoma Power had to unload water rather quickly, causing problems down in Toledo. But in the upper basin, we have huge problems because that migration zone up there it's really a wild river, and the migration zone is huge, and so I had always felt that it was necessary to have the same attention paid to the Cowlitz flood control zone district as is being paid to the Chehalis one. We did look at the Nisqually, but there were so few people up there that it didn't make much sense. Although the Nisqually has had just as many problems up there in Mineral and Alda and Alder and places like that along the river, and certainly as you get lower on the river, but it just didn't impact us as much. So I thought it would be interesting to share with you that kind of history, and I am glad to see that we're back formalizing these because it is necessary to find a solution, I think, for everybody. We have a lot more support on the Chehalis only because the I-5 freeway comes through, and the state legislature obviously is concerned about that traffic disruption that's caused by the river, more so than we would have problems that. Although I would tell you that when we interdicted 2012 back in the late 90s, that landslide, there was a little bit of concern there too.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, it reminds me of a little history. 84 years ago this month, in 1933, there was a huge flood. And there's pictures of downtown Centralia because it was Christmas time, and they had tied the Christmas trees, just plain Christmas trees, to the light posts. And there's pictures of halfway up water across those trees and light posts. And then in 1934, the Army Corps and at that time it was Pacific County and Grays Harbor and Thurston and Lewis met here, and they were going to solve the flooding problems right then and there, 1933. Well, we know that hasn't happened. Yes. And of course, 10 years ago, as we mentioned in previous meetings, we had the flood 10 years ago, and we remember what happened, and hopefully we won't repeat any things we did in the past for the future.
Anything else? Okay, well,
With no further business, I move to adjourn.
Second?
okay. Before we adjourn, I want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. So look forward to seeing you all at some point. Motion been made and second to adjourn. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Adjourn. Thank you.
You are invited to immerse yourself in the beauty of nature in all four corners of Lewis County, Washington. From our fields to your table, farms in the west share their bounty. Limitless landscapes, forests and mountains beg to be explored in the east. Fish our many rivers and lakes in the south, and discover where history and culture intersect in our twin cities. Explore it all by visiting our Facebook page and plan your next getaway at discoverlewiscounty.com. Culture, history, and adventure all come alive when you discover Lewis County.